Welcome back to Champ Talk with Branden Hudson, guys. I'm happy to have another awesome guest today. Sorry, yesterday was my birthday, okay? And my brain is fried. It was 420 yesterday. I did not partake, but I was around a lot of it, and I can't even think straight right now, okay? So I'm stuttering today. I'm a little bit off my game, but I think we're gonna narrow it down. So forgive me if I fumble my words. Forgive me if I look like I just woke up, okay? My friends evidently enjoy 420 more than my birthday, and I should have just not been around them. But yes, I'm excited to bring you guys a guest today. But first, before we get into all that, please, you know the drill. Please like and subscribe to the channels. Give us a review and share this if you know anyone who would get value out of this episode, which I'm pretty sure you would. Today's guest is a good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. I've trained with him. We've had some interactions with the community and things like that. And I mean, he's just all around a really good dude, man. He's in the music. What I love about his music is, you know, for me, what I get out of it, it doesn't fall in line with, you know, the typical street music that you're hearing where everybody's trying to glamorize staying in the streets. It seems like it's more about getting out of the streets, but that's just what he does. That's not who he is. And that's not like anywhere near what I want to talk about today. So without further ado, my boy, Enaka Beteck. I'm going to call him Knock, okay, for the record. You know what I mean? But how you doing today, man?
I'm glad. Good. I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah, well, we're glad to have you. So let's get right into it. You know what I mean? You were in here boxing with me. And helping us out and coming here and training and so forth. You know, you had a boxing background already, so you were much help to a lot of our up-and-comers, a lot of our sparring partners. And then, you know, you were getting work and stuff like that. And then out of the blue, and I didn't even know this, you messaged me to come talk to the boys in the juvenile detention center.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't know that you were you know, correctional officer or whatever your title was, and we'll get to that. I don't want to mess it up, but you were there, and you had an opportunity for me to come in there and speak to the young men, and I was like, when are you going to tell me you do this? You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was a part of like some of your passion for, you know, troubled youths in the community and so forth. Now you're the club manager at the Boys and Girls Club, which is a newer facility. That's not something that's been there around. We got the old Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club that we had for forever, and that's been there since we all were little kids.
Right.
And I'm older than you, so that's been a while. But they put a new facility over on Truitt Street, and I know a lot of the guys that have their hand in that. It's everything I hear from that is positive. So, what you know, everybody's usually got like an origin story or like some sort of like reason why they are so passionate about helping youths. You know, especially like in the inner cities and in troubled neighborhoods. What's your reason behind all that?
My reason behind that, really, first and foremost, that's in the same neighborhood that I grew up in. So I'm from that area. So, you know, every single day, like when I go to work, it's like, you know, it just takes me back to being a kid that grew up in that area and the time, you know, when I was going to school, you know, hanging out with my friends.
You're talking about over on the east side, Doverdale, you know.
Yeah, the east side, Doverdale area. So it's very touchy to me because, again, I come from that side of town. And the other thing is like just knowing like how things have changed since I was a kid in that area. And like now, you know, with the advancement of technology and social media, you know, a lot of stuff gets put in front of these kids, and they just tend to just go along with it. And to me, it seems as if like these kids aren't really being kids. They're like only following what they perceive as, you know, how their life should be, according to, you know, other celebrities and
their favorite
athletes.
Influencer.
Yep. So that's how they're mentally trying to live their life, that based on these type of, you know, people. So with me, it's all about just trying to teach them and show them another way, that being yourself is cool. Being different is cool. You don't need to fit in with everybody. And that even speaks for me as myself, because when I was coming up, you know, I had a lot of friends that were in the streets, but I gained my respect for just being myself. I didn't fall into a lot of things that a lot of my friends were doing. You know, I'm not going to say I was the perfect kid.
Sure.
You know, I did some things here and there. And lucky enough, you know, I never had to, you know, do any prison time. And that was only because biggest thing was just staying true to myself.
Yeah.
At all times, even though I didn't realize like what I really wanted out of life. One thing for me was just being true to me.
Well, let me ask you about that, right? Because you're descendant from Cameroon, Africa, right? When were you born in Africa? Or
yes.
Right. When did you come to the United States?
I came to the United States when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you seen what it was like to live in Africa, right? And then and did you come straight to Salisbury?
Yes.
Okay. So why Salisbury?
Because that's where my uncle and my aunt, they lived at. So that was my dad's brother.
Okay.
So like in Cameroon, I remember when they said we was getting ready to move to America. Man, I was so excited.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because, back home during that time in Cameroon, if you wanted to travel the world, there was only two places that you wanted to go. And that was either Europe or America. So we had family here in America, and my parents, they wanted better opportunities for us, and so we came to America. We landed in Brooklyn Airport, and then drove all the way down to Salisbury.
Wow! Yeah. How many family members came with that trip?
First it was my dad and my two brothers and my older sister. Then the year after it was me, my mom, and my little sister.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
16-hour flight.
Wow. That's incredible, man. That just just picking up and leaving everything
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and moving over to a land. What was your first eye opener when you got to the States at that young, or even like maybe years later, once you kind of knew and became a little bit more hip? What was like your first I thought this was going to be like this, and this is not like that.
So so in Cameroon, I actually, you would say I kind of had like a privileged life because I always had like a maid or a butler, both that took care of my brothers and sisters. While my dad, worked, my mom was a teacher. So,
but let's not to cut you off, but this isn't like what people might hear maid and butler like in the States, right?
Yeah.
People hear it maid and butler in the States and they're thinking like gold spoons. And it's a whole different kind of concept over in Africa, right?
Yeah,
so this isn't like
this
isn't Mr. Belvedere wiping your ass. You know what I mean? Like this is more of a caretaker, somebody to help with the house, while parents are working. I'm assuming probably they're working part-time, right? No, they're probably working, 12, 15, 16 hours a day.
So, like my dad, man, he used to be gone the whole day. We won't get home until, around night before it gets like really dark. And then my mom, she'll have meal prepared and then we'll eat with my dad, that was kind of like my life back home in Cameroon. And then on top of that, I was like the kid in the neighborhood that all my friends, they did what I wanted to do. I was the little kid that all the little girls had crushes on. So everybody like just knew who I was. And I really didn't even realize how big I was, because a lot of people knew me, but I really didn't know them. Anywhere I went, somebody knew who I was. Oh, that's such and such kid. So I was like welcomed with like a lot, with open arms and treated with a lot of prestige. And that was because of who my dad was.
Got it.
So coming here in America, it was like the total opposite.
You ain't shit.
Total opposite, man. You know what I mean? So a lot of kids wanted to be my friends back home in Cameroon. I come here. It's hard for me to make friends. They find out I'm from Africa. I'm getting teased, getting roasted, all types of things like, and what hurt me the most was the fact that it was other kids who looked like me that I'm having issues with. So that
other black kids, right?
Yeah. So that messed me up as a little kid. Because I couldn't understand it. I'm not used to this.
Well, what's funny is, because my daughters are mixed, right? So what's funny is and I've always been in those neighborhoods, and of course I can't make those jokes, right?
Right.
But the jokes that seem to, it's like dark-skinned kids are getting busted on for a while, and then light-skinned kids, and then dark-skinned kids and light-skinned, and there's like never no consistency. It's just everybody gets it all the time.
That's true.
If you're too dark, you're getting made fun of. You're too light, you get made fun of. You're in between, you get made fun of. It's just survival of the fittest.
So imagine that. And you being from Africa.
Yes, sir.
So it's like twice as worse.
Well, I'm sure it's a different pride down there, you know what I mean, with, the heritage. And is color such a big deal in Africa as it is here?
It's really not.
Yeah.
It's really not.
I didn't think so. That's
because I say this, one of my best friends in Cameroon, he was actually albino.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Emmanuel. Still remember his name. He was albino. His oldest brother was albino, but the middle brother was regular black. So, so seeing like someone with a lighter hue was something that, it was used to us. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, like it wasn't no different. Like we didn't treat people differently because of your skin tone. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really have to experience that until I came here. Yeah,
in the United States is interesting with that. It's funny. I heard a joke and it resonates with me all of a sudden. It's like, we didn't really pay too much attention of who was white, black, and whatever back in the day. We were all just poor. You were just a little more poor than I was. You know what I mean? So we're all trying to figure it out. But it is heightened here so much, and we could go on a whole podcast about all the hot button topics on how people think and that. I just think that personally, yes, there's things that aren't right that go down in this country. But I also think that everyone takes themselves so serious and gets blown up about things that aren't important. But I want to stay on topic because with you coming from Cameroon and you live in 8 years and let's say 4 solid of those years, what's going on because you're from 1 to 4, 1 to 5, we're kind of little kids. So 5, 6 to 8, what's going on around you, your surroundings. So you've seen some, probably, you were considered privileged there. In their standards, but you probably seen a lot of stuff over there. You see what poverty looks like. You've seen what, upper class looks like and all the above. You come here, it's a complete different culture shock. So now, you're on the east side, East side isn't the greatest of neighborhoods. I can't compare it to what it would look like in Cameroon, but we know that there's better neighborhoods and worse neighborhoods right on the east side, actually, to be honest with you. And then you're getting teased and made fun of where you had this perception of what America was. Oh, yeah. That's about the time, right? Because what are you, about 10 now, 11, getting to that age? Yeah. 12. That's about the time you're coming up on your middle school years. What usually the numbers, statistics speak that's about the time when kids start to do what the streets kids do to be accepted, especially if they're being teased, especially if they're kind of being ousted, they're from a different country. Now it's time to go ahead and start selling some drugs, start robbing people, start getting in gangs and doing all that stuff so that you can get accepted by your peers. What stopped you and prevented you from making that choice and going the other route?
Honestly, just my family background. My parents, they always preach, academics, being smart, staying educated. And coming from a family with brothers and sisters where they're excelling in school, you don't want to be the only one that's failing. So just, staying in school and just wanting to make my mom proud, I think was one of the biggest, influences on me to not go down the wrong path.
So it was academically competitive in your household. Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah. Wow. I mean, because I got a brother that graduated high school at 15.
Really?
Yeah, and he's a surgeon now, living in Texas. Yeah, and then my older sister, she's a nurse practitioner. Yeah. And my brother, after her, he's in Baltimore, married, has a great job, graduated with a degree in chemistry. And then my younger sister, she's a journalist in D.C.
What holidays do you guys celebrate that everybody gets together and breaks bread?
All the holidays.
Like Christmas, Kwanzaa, I don't know what, you know what I mean? Okay, so at the Christmas table, right? Or dinner table, you know what I mean? Do you guys still get mom hey, Enaka, why don't you like your older brother? Did they give you that?
See, the thing was with me.
Let you live a little bit.
The thing with me was I owe like has a kid grown up in that household with, you know, with your brothers and sisters who are academically successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always felt like I was like never good enough.
Yeah.
So my brother, you know, they get 3.9s, 4.0s. How come with a 3.4, 3.5?
Which
so
is
it's
still
like,
not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's like
almost like a 1.8.
so it's like, man, just having to experience that, you're like, man, it kind of brings you down a little bit because you see how like your other siblings are being celebrated for having such, you know, major achievements, and then here you come with your achievement, which is not as good, but you know, and
Mom, I got straight A's and 2 B's.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, I got straight
you know,
A's.
the crazy thing about that is like, you know, I mean, I absolutely love my family. The crazy thing about it is like, you know, like I didn't feel as much celebrated at home, but my friends, their parents, they looked at me like, you need to be more like him.
Yeah.
And at home, is the other way around, where, you know, they're telling me like, you need to be more like your brother.
Yeah.
So I always felt like I was like always in the middle between two types of different, you know, I mean, worlds. You know, life at home and then life outside of home.
Got it. So when did boxing come into play?
Boxing came into play when I was actually getting ready for semi-pro. So I wanted to like
semi-pro football.
Yeah, semi-pro football. Yep. So I wanted to like build my stamina at the same time, like just have the endurance because of the position I was playing, which was pretty much not just only a running back, but kick returner, punt returner, slot receiver. I was pretty much like a useful athlete on the football team for offense. So boxing was like the perfect, you know, conditioning for me to prepare for that. So when I went into boxing, ended up, you know, having a couple of amateur fights, and it really got me ready for football, semi-pro.
So you were more of what sports you play in high school or when you were a kid?
Football and track.
Okay, so you were football first then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's wild. So because I mean you're a very good boxer. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, for an amateur level, like you give everybody work, man. It was really good having you. And I just assumed that that's what you had done for a long time. But so did you play? How far did you go in football?
I went as far as I'll say like kind of like having my foot in the door of like being a pro. I actually had a guy who was trying to like get me either arena football or some type of NFL.
Did you play
on the NFL
too?
Team? Yeah, I actually played 1 year at Salisbury University.
Oh, really? Where else?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I graduated high school, I went to UMES first, and I was supposed to run in track there. I was actually training with like the track team and stuff, but then I just miss playing football. I miss playing football, so I transferred to Salisbury University after 2 semesters at UMES. I transferred to SU, started playing football there.
Got it. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
What year was this?
This is 2007 and 2008.
2007, 2008.
Yeah.
So you ended up after that decided to get into boxing. You know, obviously you're an athlete, and academics was still your
academics always.
Your priority. And where was the shift? So where was the shift where you knew that you had to work with the kids? You know what I mean? Because it's not the fact that you're, and was I correct? Were you a correctional officer at the juvenile?
No, I was a recreational coordinator.
Okay, my mistake for getting that wrong. So not only were you a recreational coordinator, I saw the way they interacted with you. You know, a couple of things. You know what I mean? It's not that you're just the gym manager. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of kids that know you, a lot of kids that look up to you, a lot of kids that open up to you and talk to you. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're just filling roles. You know what I mean? You're filling. You're doing your purpose. You're doing your duty by God. You know what I mean? You're giving back to the kids. What was the shift, and when did you say that was the the direction that you needed to go. You know what I mean? And you said that you seen what the kids did in your past, but usually there's like a turning point where it's like, you know what, this is where I'm going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was when I actually working down in VA at Redline Athletics. I was a sports trainer over there for youth, and I started to realize that I really have a passion trying to wanting to see the youth make better decisions than me when I was a kid, and once I realized that, I said, any job that I want to do now, I wanted to be something that's helping a younger person, me, just try to find their way in life. Doesn't matter. Doesn't even matter if they're playing sports or not. I just wanted to help the younger generation because, again, I felt like growing up and becoming a man, I felt that I never gave it my all and that I really never went down the right path for myself. I always made decisions based on the perception of what other people thought of me. And that's how I made I made a lot of my decisions in life. Even though I was still being true to myself, it was all a matter of what I felt that I wanted to do, to the world. I just felt like that's not what everybody else wanted me to do. So I went down the perception of everybody else. Your whole demeanor and the way that you spoke changed when you started telling that story in that part, which tells me that there's such a deeper seated why and deeper seated passion, you know what I mean, about why you're doing that. And obviously you hear so many success stories, so many people that, they say that same thing. They were like, man, I was trying to please so many different people that I forgot to please myself. Yeah. And somewhere down the long line, I believe that I didn't go as far as I could have. Yeah. I would challenge you to think about this if you haven't already. Had you gone all the way in on yourself back then and just did what, Knock wanted to do, right? And I'm a firm believer of this. Yeah, maybe you could have went pro. Right. And maybe you could have made a lot of money and maybe you could have had a lot of success. Maybe you could have been a mediocre. Maybe you could have got cut. Maybe that could have led you here, there, anywhere. But I think, and I believe that had you not learned that lesson firsthand of what was required to go all in on yourself and not be able to satisfy the everyone around you, would you even be here affecting so many kids? Right. You know what I mean? Would you be able to, because, the same thing for me with the gym, you know what I mean? Dude, I literally got into MMA just to lose weight. I didn't, I was no stranger to violence, you know what I mean? Excuse me. I was already, pushing 30. So I was kind of late on the whole, competition side anyway. And I played football, basketball, baseball in high school and in Pop Warner and stuff. And I was just like, man, you know what? I'm out of shape. I'm fat. And I just want to lose weight, right? And so I got into MMA just to look like a fighter. I wanted no parts of competing. Right. Excuse me. And then it snowballed. I had to try it because I was winning the gym. And then all of a sudden I, didn't get my ass kicked like I saw on TV. And I was like, well, okay, maybe I could try this out. Lost my first 2 fights, very close though. Third fight won, and that was on a reason. Fourth fight won. Then I fought for the title because, in amateurs and around here, the pool's not that deep, so you can get into a title shot back then with, 2 good wins against 2 solid competitors. Anyway, lost that and kind of had these series of things and then got locked up. Then finally had to, pay for what I was into for all those years. Right. And come back home, and my mission was just to train fighters and be a personal trainer. I had no intentions of. My whole thought was, you know what? When I was 29, 30 years old, I felt like I was old in this area. Because Salisbury can make you feel that way, right? Yes. You go to this big city and you go into VIP, you know what I mean? And it ain't a bunch of young dudes that are sitting there popping bottles, you know what I mean? It's all older dudes chilling, you know what I mean? Right. So not saying that that's the thing to do, but just look around, right? Look at the optics, right? You don't see a bunch of younger dudes driving in the nice cars, right? But as you're a young guy and you're not getting college here, you know what I mean? And you're not selling drugs, right? You're deemed an old dude, right? And it's the weirdest thing. So I felt like an old dude. And my whole mission was to say, hey, I'm going to start MMA to just help guys feel like they're not old. Because it woke me up, dude. When I started losing weight and started competing,
I was like, holy shit, I could do hard things. Never did I expect all of this to happen, right? And one of the things that when I include this was you messaged me on Facebook saying, hey, come talk to these kids. You know, you got a good story, man. I think you'd be a good look for that. What I'm getting at with my point is had I not went down that route, had you not went down your route, you know, would you be so passionate about the lives that you change and affect today? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if it's like a whole masses of a gym or if it's that one motherfucking kid, dude, that right combinations of words on that right day that he needed to come from your wisdom, changed the way he did life.
Right.
And there's a butterfly and a ripple effect behind that because now all of a sudden he's changed his life. Now he's impacting other kids and other people that are looking up to him because, you know, you always got a nephew, a niece, a cousin, somebody that they were looking up to you. And it all comes from what you had went through that times. So anyway, I would challenge yourself to think about that because the way you lit up and got passionate about what you just said changed the whole interview and the whole conversation. And that tells me that, like, bro, you were in the trenches really figuring this shit out and probably had some real dark moments and some things you had to overcome, especially as an athlete, especially as an underachiever, achieving more than everyone else, right? And then now, you know, you're affecting young people and young people in a city that desperately need more male role models and male leaders, man. So I applaud you. I would like you to think about that because that's what stands out to me, brother.
Thank you.
Is like you had to go through that to be the best version of yourself today for the people that you're changing. Because one thing's for sure is one day we're going to be in a motherfucking wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
Or we're going to be in a house. Or we're going to be looking at these same young kids. Hopefully they'll wash our butts properly and don't make us feel weird about it, right? Because we're going to need them to take care of us, man.
Right.
Where did so that's awesome, dude. I just want to acknowledge give you your flowers on that because that's what stood out to me. Where did the music come from? When did you start getting into music?
Man, I've actually been doing music since high school.
Okay.
And the thing is, I didn't like take it extremely serious and started putting out, you know what I mean, publicly because at that time when I started going to the studio recording and putting music out there, I could tell my music was a lot different from a lot of the other local artists around because of the fact that I wasn't just talking about street music. I was talking about, you know, things with my family. I was talking about, you know, different types of themes, concepts, imaginations, just, you know, just telling, you know, things that I thought and I felt as a kid and just how I imagined life. It wasn't just the street that, you know, so back then, a lot of people who was listening to my music, they couldn't gravitate towards it because I'm around a bunch of dudes who are from the streets. So to them, it's like, this is odd. So that made me feel like I was going to be successful as a music artist, but music was what I always wanted to do. So for many years, you know, when I made music, I only made it for my ears to listen to. Like I have years of like a lot of songs and like, I mean, like if I can pull up on my email, you like, man, you sound super young on this, man. So the when I realized that music was what I was meant to do was in 2022 after going through like a stage in my life where I was dealing with depression and it just seemed like everything for me was falling apart and I couldn't understand why. And looking back at that time now, like I needed to go through that and have that realization that, you know, a lot of the decisions that I was making before, it wasn't putting me on the right path to fulfill my purpose in life. So when I realized that, you know, music was my tool to fulfill my purpose, that's when I made the decision, said, you know, I'm going to use this gift that I have, not for myself, but for the benefit of myself and the benefit to change the minds and hearts of the youth and people in general. So a lot of the stuff that I talking about music, it has to deal with, you know, pretty much the working class, because that's the bulk of people that, you know, make up society. No one's really telling your story. The story of just having to deal with raising kids, paying bills, that the daily things that we have to go through that the average person has to face. No one's really telling that story.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like, you know, the upper class, you know, gets more and more wealthy. The lower class, you know, gets just, and I don't mean to put people in boxes, but this is the observation. The lower class is more okay with what's given to them. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily mean in necessarily just free government assistance and free handouts. They're okay with accepting their hourly page. They're okay with accepting how conditions are. One of the things is you walk around, you know what I mean? I live in an okay neighborhood. It's not the greatest, it's not the worst. One of the things that drives me crazy is my neighborhood has an HOA fee, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't mind paying an HOA fee if you're going to do something with the neighborhood. I don't give a fuck about the pond. I don't even get to see the pond. And a matter of fact, all the goose walk through the fucking yard and they put the goose shit all over the place. So I could give a fuck about the pond, right? Right. But I do care about how my neighborhood looks. And when my neighborhood's got trash in the ditches and trash on the side of the roads, right? To me, that's an example of people just accepting the neighborhood as it is. Instead of trying to pick up a little bit of trash, we try to pick up a little bit of trash every walk we make, every time we go. It's not going to change the world, but it's 2 pieces, 3 pieces of trash that aren't on that road that day. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the middle class, the working class, like you're talking about, we're the ones that are getting boxed out. Yeah. We're the ones that are getting forgotten about. We're, in my opinion, the unrepresented. Yeah. And I'm not big in politics, you know what I mean? I think, first of all, you got to pay attention to local politics. Local politics are where it's at, right? Facts. We have a couple of strong young men right now and women that are running for local politics that people would never know who they are. And I think it's very important for people to be aware of that because they got to go out in public and see us. They got to shake our hands. They got to eat next to us at the restaurants. They have to, they are the ones that are advocating for us when they go to Annapolis or when they go to Dover, wherever, Maryland and Delaware you're at. But if you take even an example of politics, it seems like the upper class, and I'm not saying this is all, so, they can come at me in the comments. The upper class seems to be so worried about, what the politicians are doing. Yeah. And so does the lower class, right? And then the middle class is over here like, yo, I like some of these views over here. I like some of these views over here. Yeah. I like this dude. I like that dude. I don't even know if this is a dude. I like them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we're all like, we're all, it's like I said, we're all just poor, right? Yeah. We're all just in the same thing. And I say poor subjectively. I don't mean like, poverty and poor, but it's like, it's a rewiring of the mindset, dude. Like when you come from humble beginnings, you don't realize how people think when people have to worry about things like, are we going to be able to have heat this month? And are we going to be able to eat? That's a whole different mindset than people who don't ever have to worry about that stuff, right? Facts. Nothing better, nothing worse. It's a different wiring. Yeah. That person who doesn't have to worry about that stuff, who grew up, when they go to college, they don't think about what my major is, or they don't think, they have something, but they don't concern themselves so much about this not working. It's automatically installed in their mind that, once I get through college, I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah. Where somebody with a scarcity mindset or somebody with humble beginnings is going to be like, I hope I get through college and I don't know what's going to happen next. You see the different in wiring. And I think both can learn from each other, but you're right. It's the working class. It's unrepresented. Yeah. Because we don't make no votes. We don't get the votes. You know what I mean? We got to be swayed one way or the other. And that's just politics, because I'm not trying to make this political, because I care very little. I like to be aware about politics, but I care very little about who's.
That's how I am.
You know what I mean? I want to know how I'm getting fucked. Right. All right, tell me how. Today I'm keeping my clothes on. We're going to be gentle. We're going to be rough. What's it going to be? But I don't necessarily dive into them like one of these. I never did with rappers. I never did with, because I was heavy into hip hop too. Yeah. I was an artist, but that's my roots. You know what I mean? I remember meeting Cameron down in a club. I just happened to be on a ghost mission. You can ask Coach P. I was on a ghost mission. We left all my boys, went to this other club. Man, I walk in there, man. I'm looking like Don Johnson from Miami. Like I got the white button up with the little flower print. You know what I mean? This was back in 2014. And man, I'm looking like I just got out of the convertible, and I go in there, it's nothing but gold teeth and dreadlocks, right? Timberland boots, right? And I'm like, okay, fit right in, of course. You know what I mean? I have one problem, but I noticed that all of a sudden I'm kind of in the crew with Cameron's crew. They're at the club just partying. Wow. And we loved Dipset back then. And I got to point to this, but anyway. As we're leaving, we're kind of ruffled out, you know what I mean? And we bump right into something. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. I love your music, dude. Like, we really banged that up in Salisbury, man. Just to keep doing good things, I think it was before cell phones, It wasn't an awkward situation. Right. It wasn't me like, oh, my gosh, Cameron. I was just like, hey, man, appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're making a difference, man. And you could see the genuineness, because this isn't like he's at a show. Like, we're hanging out. Right? Yeah. We're at the club. Right. You could just see the genuineness in him and what he liked. But I didn't mean to go on that tangent, but you're so right, man. I love that, how you represent life. That's your music. It's like, this is what life is all about,
Yeah.
right? Get up, go to work, take care of yours, face adversity, face some troubles. You know, you've got like a little bit of a softer / aggressive side.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can kind of chill, and
Yeah.
sometimes you go in and, you know what I mean, ready to bang it out.
Yeah.
So, and what's crazy, dude, is like, you're so talented.
Yeah,
like, I don't know if you recognize that, man, but you know, you play collegiate football, you know, semi-pro football, you boxed. You were obviously better in track than you were anything, you know what I mean? Because that's what you trained for. Your academics is a priority. You're a musician, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now you're a community leader, you know? So what, how old are you, man?
I'm 37.
So where does all this, did you play football with Louis? You know, Louis played 1 year, or played a couple years at SU too. Coach Louis Amabelli? Because he's about your age, and he was at SU for maybe some of those years too.
I'll probably say if he's around my age, then
I think he's like a year or two older than you.
Yeah, then he was probably I want to say after me, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
I really want to say after me.
Yeah. So, you know, either way, you've got all these talents and stuff, man. You're 37 years old, which I think is right around the prime of a male's life. You know, what's next? What's on the horizon, man, for you? Like,
just really try to reach out more and work with more companies, to be honest. Work with more organizations that service people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one of the things I noticed with my music is I'm trying to use my music as a guidance for the younger generation, but also, you know, to connect, you know, just connect people all together, because that's the power that music has.
I agree.
Have like, you know, especially like with the things that I talk about, is to really just show everybody like, hey, we're all in this life together. All have our own, you know, characteristics, but at the same time, let's first reflect on ourselves. Once you're able to reflect on who you are, that's how you're able to make a better environment for everyone else and yourself. But it all begins with self first.
Absolutely.
So with my music, it's just more so of like just trying to bring unity and just connect different pieces of life all together. You know,
I love that. Just a thought. Have you ever thought about linking up with like a live band?
I haven't thought about that, to be honest.
Because when you're saying your message and then you're saying your music, you know, and then you're talking about connecting everybody, you know, like when I hear some of your lyrics and hear some the tempos of the beats and the way you go at it, like I hear like an unplugged type of Jay-Z type of you know, vibe. You know what I mean? Where like, you know, live music, and then, you know, that's such a way in the door of so many different demographics.
Right.
Where you're not just limited to, you know, catering to just one group of people. You know what I mean? And then, you know, if you look at some of the biggest rap artists that are out today, and when they perform and you look out in the audience, like I think Cardi B had a concert maybe in Baltimore a couple weeks ago, and like it is such a blended group in the fan. It's not like, you know, you're doing at your local club or something like that, you know, your local hood party, right? It's like the amount of people that are coming together. Music festivals. I don't know if you've ever been to a music festival, but if you ever get a chance, right, lower all your inhibitions and all your expectations, right? Don't wear no nice shoes. And go to a music festival, bro. They're so fucking fun. They don't care how old you are. It's just a lot of people. Of course, there's a lot of younger people, but it's just a lot of people that are just like peace, love, and Bob Dylan. But the music is so, like, there's so much variety of a good music festival. And I mean, everybody vibes to everything. Like, it's crazy. But anyway, I was thinking about that and just dropped the suggestion. But I think that's great, man. One other question. What would be like one of the standout either success story or impact story for you that you've had along your journey of being a local community leader amongst the youth, that you've seen one of these kids either turn it around, you know, do something that maybe come directly from you, that just you acknowledge, like, do you have like a standout story, man, that like makes you say this is worth it, this is why I do what I do?
Yeah, I actually have quite a few. One story I'll say, when I was working at a detention center, there was a kid in there who was he was in there for a murder charge.
Mm.
So his mindset was, you know, even if I beat this, I know where my life is headed. I know where my future is. And I had it like a really good conversation with him, because I could just tell, like, because of his behavior in the facility. But at the same time, like, once I knew like what his talents and gifts were, because he was extremely good in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so when I had a discussion with him, I said, you don't even realize how good you are. Even if basketball is not your thing, you can use basketball as an escape for you to put you in a better path to where you want to go.
100%.
You're not like, this isn't the ending road for you. Mm-hmm. This is only a stepping stone. This is only to get you to realize, you know, where the mistakes you've made in your life and how you can fix it. Use this as a learning experience, you know. And of course, he was, you know, involved in a gang or whatever. But ever since I had that conversation with him, he ended up going to placement. After placement, he got released back to the community. He beat his charge, of course. And then like 2 years later, I'm now working at the Boys and Girls Club. You know, ended up running into him, you know, in Walmart. Mm-hmm. And he's just telling me, it was like, you don't know, like, the conversation that we had, you don't know, like, what that did to me.
Wow.
Because I went to placement and I just kept the words that you said to me about you just believing how, you know, how special I am in this world. So he held on dear to that.
Damn.
Yeah. And now, I mean, he has he's in society, of course, mm-hmm. doing a lot better. Is not involved in the streets. Has 2 kids now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he said he's doing a lot better. And to me, just hearing that story, it's like, it's very touching to me, because it's like, man, I was able to do that. I have that much, you know, I have that type of impact, you know. And again, it's those type of stories that when I hear, like, it gives me the motivation, the inspiration to continue doing what I'm doing with my music and as a club manager. So.
Yeah, because we think we want to all of a sudden attribute success stories to rags to riches. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the success story is, hey, I'm not going to be in a gang anymore.
Right.
I'm going to take care of my kids. Like, these kids are so lost. And so, and I say kids, I mean, really, our generation was lost and fatherless too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because
and it's even worse now.
I turned 45 yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I've got a couple years on you, but we're not too far away from, you know, we're both close to 40, right?
Right.
And, you know, it's so many, like, just fatherless men and women. Sometimes the success story is just, hey man, I turned it around. You know what I mean? And I think this so, dude, I think it's so fucking remarkable, dude. Here we got a guy that, you know, struggled with feeling like feeling a place of sense of where do I fit in, right? Mm-hmm. Always kind of feeling like you weren't good enough, you know, or you were compared to, you know, you had, you know, your experience in Africa where you were, you know, somebody because of your family to come here, you know, now you're a nobody, you know, because of your family, right? Yeah. You know, your heritage, you know, you're getting made fun of for, you know, people that look just like you, but, you know, you're not one of us, right? You know, because you're from Africa, right? Then, you know, you're getting talked to from another set of friends, like, why can't you be more like, you know what I mean, Enaka? Why can't you be more like Enaka? Then you go to the academic side inside your home where it's like, you know, you're doing really good, you got good grades, but they're just not quite good enough. Yeah. So you have all of these different dynamics where, again, man, it was all of that led you to the fact that day you decided to open your fucking mouth and impact. And this is probably one of many stories. You probably forgotten more stories than you could even tell.
Yeah, that's facts.
But you open your mouth because there's a lot of people you were working with will not. They're there for the check, or they're burnt out, or they're just over the position, or they don't see a point, right? There's a lot of people that don't feel so passionate about helping like you do. But you go through all of these, adversities and these dichotomies in your life to bring you to that point where, now this man's raising 2 kids and he is not in prison for the rest of his fucking life, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. That is so awesome, man. Dude, this conversation flew by, man. We like it was. I was so glad. It's been a while since we were trying to get on you, man. I told you I'll get you on. We've been booked, but dude, I just think you're a fucking great leader, man.
Thank you.
I love you. A lot of this stuff I didn't know. You know what I mean? I've always seen you in here, and I've always had respect, mutual respect, and cared about you, and knew that you were in the community. But man, some of these deep dive conversations that we have, man.
And the thing is, like, man, when going through the experience when I first came to this country and having to be teased a lot, like, it took something away from me that put me like in a state of silence. So for many years of my life growing up, I always had like some type of silence to me because, again, I felt like my thoughts and my feelings didn't matter.
Wow.
And this is something that made me good, with music, because since I couldn't communicate to people how I felt and what I was thinking, because to them, in my mind, it didn't matter, I put it down on paper. That's how I became good, and just expressing, different thoughts and feelings about myself. I was able to create all types of different things just by writing. I remember, like, we had like some type of state test in like middle school where if you score like a 300, it was like considered like very good. I ended up scoring like a 380.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just goes to show you that, my writing ability was good. But I'm saying that because just for the simple fact that for many years of my life, like, I always was very silent and I always didn't say much. But, when I realized as an adult that I actually need to start expressing myself, it was going to be impactful. And I need to just start releasing a lot of things within me that could help the next person.
Dude, I'm getting vibes right now. I'm getting an intuition right now with your ability to express just what you express, or you should be speaking on stages.
Yeah.
You should be speaking on stages.
Yeah, I've been told that quite a few times.
You're getting 3 on-air challenges right now. One, I want you to look at the perspective and just gnaw on it, think about it, on what I said about how you were meant to go through what you went through to be here. Your Ed Milet says this: you're most qualified to help the person you used to be.
Right.
And that's why you're expressing yourself. That's why you're communicating so effective. That's why you're such a leader. 2, think about performing with a live band. I think that'd be cool as fuck.
Definitely
right?
will.
You know what I mean?
Definitely
that might put you in a different space to connect more people. But most importantly, I think you need to think about what you can do as an artist and somebody on stage, performing, to maybe potentially speaking, man, because there is I think there's a lot of parts to your story that you're not even really connecting the dots right now, that I'm having a lot of like, holy shit, this guy would be a great speaker. This guy would be somebody that people will want to hear. And, my best advice, not take it for what it was, call these people up, send them emails, tell them you'll talk for free. Say, hey man, I just want to get there for free. Go up there and just get the reps in. These great speakers that speak, man, they have thousands of reps. And that's why they're so good. And if you think about like your pastor, your religious leader, they do that every week. You know what I mean? So they've got the practice. But I get vibes from that for you, man. It's so crazy. Well, dude, we got to wrap it up, man. We blew by. What this is your time to give a plug. Where can we find you? Where can we check your music out? If somebody wanted to bring the youth to you, give us all your plugs, man, and let us know where we can find you.
All right, so you can find me on any streaming platform and social media platform: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search up Enaka Beteck. That's NOC space BETECK. You type that name in, everything about me is going to show up.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Dude, I love what you're doing, man. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.
And keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because there'll be a roadblock sometime. There'll be some times, and you probably hit them. Don't stop, man. We need more male leaders, man. We need more male leaders with a story like yourself, dude. And it's just been a pleasure to watch you grow and hear your story, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, guys, that'll do it. I know you got value from this episode, man. So make sure you share this with somebody who would. Contact Knock if you want to get it, talk to him about talking to your youth, maybe potentially giving you some direction, listen to some music, whatever it is, man, because this guy really packed the punch today. And that was a great pun I put. But other than that, man, guys, if you got value out of this, please like and subscribe to the channels. And if you ever so kind, give us a review. It helps us get searched more and found in the algorithms. Other than that, guys, we'll see you next time. And what are you doing today to become a champion?